Gears of War is an action game that's basically like a futuristic game of hide and seek that you play with ridiculous future guns. The weapons are outstanding, the action is intense, and it's probably one of the best games to come out all year. In the game's campaign, the first player plays as Marcus Phoenix. He's this guy that's in prison at the beginning of the game, but this other dude, Dom, this other soldier, comes and rescues him and gives him his gear, and they head out. The prison level serves as a sort of tutorial where you're facing the enemy known as the Locust. In the prison level, your primary objective is to just get to the chopper, and once you do that, you get redeployed into the field. You're part of Delta Squad. You're looking for Alpha Squad because they've vanished, and they have some sort of device with them that could possibly turn the tide of the war. It seems that the whole location's just been destroyed, just devastated by Locust attacks, and it's up to you to kind of get to this device and figure out how to make it work, and then you kind of go from there, fight some bosses, do some things. The game is primarily about you hiding behind stuff. If you're not pushed up against some slab of concrete or a car door or something like that, chances are you're going to be dead in a few seconds. It's really all about, you get behind stuff, pop up, take some shots, get back down, reload, and kind of do that over and over again until you wipe guys out. You also roll with a squad. You have 3 guys with you usually most of the time, and these guys are really good at kind of distracting the enemy, but they're not so great at taking them out, so they'll die a lot. But you can actually run up to them and kind of say, come on man, get up, get back in the fight, and they'll get back up with full health and kind of continue on fighting. The health system in Gears of War is pretty forgiving. You can usually pop up and take a few shots, but if you get out of the action and stop getting shot for a few seconds, you actually just heal completely. It's a pretty good design because it lets you pop out and take your shots, but you're not going to get in a situation where you can only take one more hit and then you're going to die. You can definitely kind of move through at a pretty steady pace. That's because the weapons in this game are pretty powerful and really, really satisfying. A shooter's really only as good as its guns, and Gears of War has a couple of guns in it that are pretty amazing. You start out with a basic kind of burst fire machine gun, but very quickly you get what's called the Lancer, and this is pretty much going to be your go-to weapon for the entire game. It's just an assault rifle, fully automatic machine gun, but it also has a chainsaw on the bottom of it, and it's basically, they call it a chainsaw bayonet, and if you hold down the B button, you'll rev it up. So anytime anyone gets close to you, if you can hold down that button and get the chainsaw going, you'll just right through them. And it's just a spectacular display, just blood just splatters everywhere. It never, ever gets old. The other big standout gun is called the Hammer of Dawn, and how this works is it's actually like an orbital satellite, and what you're doing is painting a spot on the ground, which then causes the beam to focus and kind of rain down from above. You primarily use this in a couple of very specific situations to beat bosses or larger targets that can't be hit by conventional means, and it's very fun while you have it, but you rarely have it. There are 3 difficulty settings in Gears of War when it comes to the campaign mode, and the game actually defaults to the easiest of the 3, which is called Casual, which is kind of insulting, I guess. But the other mode is Hardcore, and you really get the sense that they could have fit in one more setting between the 2, because the Casual setting is really pretty easy. You don't need to use cover all that frequently until you get in the later parts of the game or get very, very outnumbered. Hardcore difficulty it feels about right for most of the game, but then at some point right around say the middle of the 4th of 5 acts, it just gets crazy. There's just so many enemies bearing down on you that it's really just hard to make it from checkpoint to checkpoint. Some of that difficulty you can offset by playing the game cooperatively, and you can do this either locally on a split screen or over Xbox Live, which is it's really the way to play the game to begin with. You can revive players when they go down, just like when your AI drops down, you can run up and shake them and get them to come back to life. You can do this in the co-op, so if you get gunned down, the other player can run up and revive you, and you can kind of continue forward. In addition to the online co-op, the game also has 4-on-4 play over Xbox Live or System Link. And how this works is it's round-based multiplayer, sort of like something like Counter-Strike. There's no respawn mode or anything like that. And the default mode is called Warzone, which is basically a team deathmatch. And how this works is you really want to work in 2s, because just like in the co-op game, you can revive other players. So if you go down, someone can pick you back up again, and you kind of start right there with full health. The other player then, of course, wants to take you out before you can be revived. You kind of go down on your hands and knees there, and if they keep shooting, they'll actually do you in all the way. Or, if they want to make it extra satisfying and they can get up to you, they can run up and hit X, and there'll be like a curb stomp, kind of just this awesome stomping animation that'll kill a down player. You can also use the chainsaw and explosive weapons to really kind of just take guys out right away as well. There are other modes in the game. There's assassination, where one player on the team, each team is a leader, and from there the other players have to defend that player. And there's also execution, which forces you to really run up and stomp a guy or kill him, because they can hammer the A button to come back to life if you don't finish him off. All in all, the multiplayer is really exciting, and it's probably even a better use of the weapons than single player is, because you get more access to stuff like the Hammer of Dawn, which is hilarious to use in multiplayer, because it's just, you're raining down death from above on unsuspecting players. And also with the way the maps are designed, you get a lot more chances to use the chainsaw. From a presentation standpoint, Gears of War is an amazing technical achievement. Games just typically don't look this good. Everything from just the animation to the environments, to just the thickness of the characters themselves. I mean, these guys are just big, just armor-wearing, just tough dudes, big scars on their faces and stuff. And just all in all, just looks amazing. There's just a lot of really great-looking set pieces throughout the game, and the environments are nicely varied. It's not all just kind of war-torn, post-apocalyptic city streets and stuff. And overall, it really looks incredible. About the only thing you can say about it is that the cutscenes, which are all done in real time, the frame rate doesn't hold up quite so well. In those instances, it can kind of chop up a bit. But for the most part, the game runs at a really nice speed and just looks outstanding top to bottom. Similarly, the soundtrack is nicely cinematic and really fits the action. They've really kind of gone for that kind of action movie feel, and the music definitely lends itself to that. And the dialogue does as well. The game's story is pretty much non-existent. I mean, there are even just some basic parts of the game where they could have filled you in on some of the main character's backstory, but all that stuff's relegated to like a paragraph in the manual. So most of the dialogue is just typical action movie guy. These guys aren't scientists, they're not fancy lads, they just know how to shoot stuff, and they're stoked about it. The weapon sound effects also really stand out nicely, particularly, again, chainsaw. Just that nice squish of flesh as you're sawing through it really works really well, and all the other weapons have good sound effects to go with them as well. So overall, the game absolutely looks just top of the line visually and has the sounds to match. Gears of War is a supremely satisfying action game with just top-notch presentation. If you're looking for, single-player, multiplayer, co-op, whatever, it has all that stuff, and it does it all really well. Unless you're the sort of person that just would never play an action game in your life, this is the game you should own this holiday season.